Fox 5. From Fox Television in Washington, D.C., this is the 10 o'clock news.
A battle plan for peace. The U.S. considers airstrikes as a key Bosnian city teeters on the brink of surrender. Game plan to catch a killer. Police try a new tactic in a manhunt for D.C.'s shotgun stalker. Schoolroom scandal. A Maryland teacher admits to having sex with his students. And rain, thunder, and tornadoes as Mother Nature roars into the area with a blast.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm David Burnett. Morris Jones has the night off.
And I'm Angela Robinson. There are conflicting reports tonight about whether Serbian troops have taken Bosnia's Muslim stronghold, Srebrenica. And President Clinton is considering every option short of U.S. ground troops in response to the fighting in Bosnia. On day 86 of his administration, the president says he is outraged over Bosnian Serbs' refusal to join in a UN peace plan. Channel 5's Niles Latham has details.
Thousands of civilians are wounded and starving from a massive Serb offensive against the Muslim stronghold of Srebrenica. UN convoys plan to evacuate 30,000 people before the Serbs take full control. After a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Kiichi Miyazawa, President Clinton says he's outraged by Serbian actions.
I think the time has come for the United States and Europe to look honestly at where we are and what our options are, and what the consequences of various courses of action will be. And I think we have to consider things which at least previously have been unacceptable.
U.S. officials say among the options the president is considering, airstrikes against Serbian artillery positions, power stations, and supply lines. There's plenty of U.S. firepower in the region. The aircraft carrier USS Roosevelt is already conducting operations in the Adriatic. The UN Security Council is also discussing creating safe havens for fleeing civilians. And U.S. officials are also looking at whether to lift the arms embargo on Bosnian Muslims. Other options include expelling Serbia from the UN and closing its embassies in Europe, and further tightening the economic embargo and seizing Serbian assets. But the president cautions all this still may not be enough to stop this brutal and complex civil war.
We have to be humble in the face of it, and we haven't had a very good hand to play, at least in the last 2.5 months since I've been looking closely at this. But I do think the United States at least has an obligation to force the consideration by all the parties of all responsible options.
One option the president says he is not considering is committing U.S. ground troops to Bosnia. He also says that whatever action the U.S. does take, it will be part of a joint operation with European allies. Niles Latham, Fox News at the White House.
And President Clinton tackled the touchy subject of a soaring trade deficit with Japan in a first-time meeting with Prime Minister Kiichi Miyazawa. The president made clear he wants the Japanese to open their markets to more products from U.S. manufacturers. And during a news conference, the president was asked about his comment in Vancouver when he told Boris Yeltsin the Japanese say yes and often mean no. Mr. Clinton said, and I'm quoting here, "The world would be a sad place if people could never say anything in an offhand manner without it turning into an international incident."
The president offered to slice $4 billion from his $16 billion plus job stimulus plan today and got a swift response from Senate Republicans. Not good enough. Minority Leader Robert Dole said Mr. Clinton has yet to propose a way to cover cost of the plan. Senator Phil Gramm compared the plan to glazing the ham, but leaving the fat.
That money that he wants to spend is not coming from heaven. It's coming out of the pockets of the working men and women of America. And if government doesn't spend it, that money's not going to be lost. It's going to go back to families to invest in the American dream.
Senate leaders plan to meet Monday to try and resolve the impasse.
D.C. police want to try something new in their hunt for the shotgun stalking killer who's taken 2 lives and wounded 4 others in his 6-week spree of random violence in Northwest. Channel 5's Ron Talley joins us now live from Columbia Heights. Ron, is there in fact a new game plan?
Stopped and questioned by police, but still no arrests. So the plan now is to ask residents here in Northwest to open up their garages, those that they use to store their own cars, those they share with others to store their cars, and more importantly, those garages that are rented out. The hope is to find the suspect vehicle and the man who has eluded police for weeks. There will be a house-to-house and business-to-business garage search on the outside chance the shotgun killer may still be in the area, eluding police and hiding the blue Toyota described by witnesses. The inspections will be voluntary, but search warrants are possible.
Some of them are. Some are attached to homes and some are freestanding garages that are locked. And what we would like to do is to ask the owners to voluntarily open those garages so we can see inside of them.
They have rented them out to other people, and they have car repair people working back there and car painters working back there and things like that. So in those cases, we have to get the cooperation of the person who owns it to let us look in there to see. And maybe there's somebody's hiding in someplace, hiding this vehicle someplace, and the owner doesn't even know about it.
Hopefully somebody will recognize this face out there.
The city will also be flooded with new computer sketches of the suspect. 48,000 flyers printed by the U.S. Postal Service to be mass distributed by mail carriers, police, and cab drivers, and posted on utility poles all over D.C.
D.C. Metro Police were all for it because they unfortunately don't have the manpower like we do, like the Postal Service does, to effect delivery and completely saturate an area in one morning.
That new sketch led police to stop yet another man who bears an uncanny resemblance to the suspect picture. He, like others, was questioned for several hours and then released.
We've interviewed several persons based on the large number of leads that have been provided to us.
Yeah, half dozen, a dozen, just a number.
We don't want to discuss the numbers. We've interviewed a number of persons, but we don't want to discuss the specific numbers.
Still no prime suspect, no arrest. So the manhunt continues with citizen street patrols now joining the hundreds of lawmen who have doubled up their shifts and are working hour upon hour of costly overtime with no plan to ease up.
We cannot equate saving lives with money. If we do, then we certainly, the department and the citizens will lose.
Clearly there has been no let-up in police manpower and patrols here in Northwest tonight, and those garage searches could begin as early as tomorrow morning. Live from Columbia Heights, I'm Ron Talley. David?
All right, Ron, thanks a lot. Angie, over to you.
Tonight, a 5-year-old district boy remains hospitalized in serious condition with 2 bullet wounds. Police say the child was in a car with his father and 3 other people around 2 a.m. when gunshots broke out. It happened near 49th and Nash Streets Northeast. Now, police say the shooting was drug-related. The 5-year-old has been identified as Darnell Anthony Bowie of Hayes Street Northeast. So far, police haven't arrested anyone for the shooting.
And prosecutors continue to pile up evidence against the D.C. teenager charged with the carjacking murder of Maryland motorist Pam Basu. Channel 5's John Henrahan has been following the trial in Ellicott City.
If 17-year-old Bernard Miller is convicted and gets the maximum sentence, he will never be free. Prosecutors are asking for life without the possibility of parole because of the violent murder of Pam Basu, who was dragged to her death last September while trying to rescue her infant daughter during a carjacking. Today, Howard County Crime Lab Detective Doug Reed told the jury he managed to lift fingerprints from the inside and the outside of Pam Basu's car, from credit cards found in the car, and from a baby seat found near Pam Basu's body. A passing motorist had testified earlier he witnessed a young black man toss a baby seat and baby from the BMW that morning. Prosecutors next week are expected to deliver on their promise to show that fingerprint analysis will prove the prints from the car and the baby seat came from Bernard Miller's hands. Bowing to incessant media requests, Judge Dennis Sweeney has agreed to allow television and still photographers to copy more than 85% of the evidence submitted into the case.
The judge excluded from dissemination photos of the mangled body of Pam Basu and the amateur videotape of her departure from home that morning. Prosecutors say next week when the jury sees that home video, they will also see in the background the 2 men accused of killing Pam Basu minutes after the tape was recorded. At the Howard County Courthouse, I'm John Henrahan, Fox News.
Coming up next on the 10 o'clock news, television airwaves become a bargaining chip for freedom in that Ohio prison standoff.
And high school shocker, a Maryland teacher says he had sex with his students during the past 2 decades.
If you think you've seen MASH,
Take another look.
Oh, you're just loving this, aren't you?
Thank you.
As the entire series returns, newly remastered from the original negatives.
That's entertainment.
All your favorite moments are now clearer, sharper, and funnier than ever.
You gotta let me go, sir. I just have to get married.
You're not pregnant, are you?
So fall in for the series that never grows old. MASH. A full hour weeknights at 11:30 on Fox 5.
For a smart lease of just $2.99 a month, you can get air conditioning, AM/FM cassette, Scotchgard fabric protection, power windows, power locks, and much more. Best of all, you can get them in your choice of this GMC Safari or this GMC Jimmy, both with four-wheel anti-lock brake safety. GMC Jimmy, GMC Safari. Your choice, just $2.99 a month.
Drop in to your Greater Washington area GMC truck dealer.
In 1760, a young farmer came here. He studied law, danced with his sweetheart into the night, and ultimately changed his life and each of ours forever. His name was Thomas Jefferson. The place, Williamsburg, Virginia. The only colonial capital fully restored to remind us what life was like when we were changing into a place called America. Come to Colonial Williamsburg. For your free vacation planner, call 1-800-HISTORY.
Introducing the new Subaru Impreza Hill Holder. You'll find it on all of our manual transmissions. At the moment, the brake is on, so the wheel isn't moving. The brake is now being released. The new Impreza is out of gear, and the wheel still hasn't moved. It's not often a car can impress you simply by standing still. The new Subaru Impreza. It's not just another new car.
Special introductory price offer, starting under $11,000.
Big Brother built in, Monday on the Fox Morning News.
Inmates holding guards hostage at an Ohio prison demanded today and received time on television. In return, they released one of 6 guards held hostage. Reporter Scott Smith is standing by live in Lucasville, Ohio, and he has more on this ongoing standoff. Scott?
Well, David, for a while tonight, it appeared as if this would end peacefully with a surrender. A flurry of activity all evening long. Scores of National Guard troops were deployed here. The roads here were closed to the media, and portable lights were brought in. But then, at the last moment, we were told that it was off. All of this following a face-to-face meeting between the two sides.
Circle wide around this way. Have a seat at the chair with the microphone.
In exchange for giving inmates a live 20-minute television broadcast to air their grievances, prison officials received one of the remaining 6 hostages.
We have been oppressed here at SOCF and threatened by Warden Arthur Tate with abusive force. Also, implemented phone call program as promised. Currently, we get one 5-minute phone call only on Christmas. Do away with articles pertaining to alleged gang activities, i.e. dress codes, hairstyles, and religious symbols.
Inmate Abdul, a Muslim, also demanded the right of inmates to practice their religious customs, and he said his brothers behind the wall wanted no retaliation. He spoke of reported hangings of inmates by guards that officials would later label as suicide. Prison negotiators at the table said little, but were cordial.
We certainly take your concerns seriously. We will continue to negotiate with you about your concerns.
Then, in a bizarre twist, the correctional officer, who was moments away from freedom, spoke words that were either Oscar material or a demonstration of true sympathy for the inmate's cause.
Now, I knew Vallandigham. He was a good friend of mine. The only reason that man is dead because he stayed in there so long because they want to cut off water and turn off electricity, which had me scared for my life in there.
The guard's comments were never explained by prison officials who have become more and more tight-lipped as the days go on.
The hostage release was James A. Demons, age 26. He has been employed at SOCF since 1990.
Officer Demon showed hostility as he left and was whisked away to a local hospital.
Just about 5 minutes ago, a reporter who was in there to witness the surrender told us that they were this close, just this close. Negotiations had been going on all day since that televised broadcast. They'd been going very well, but it just didn't come off tonight, and he's not sure whether it will tomorrow. As you know, 8 people have died in this crisis here, 7 of them inmates and 1 guard. There are 5 hostages, and they're all guards still inside the complex. I'm live in Lucasville, Ohio. Scott Smith, Fox News.
All right, Scott, thank you very much for that report. Angie?
Federal officials are openly skeptical about cult leader David Koresh's latest promises to surrender. Koresh is interpreting the book of Revelation's 7 seals, and he promises to surrender when he finishes writing the religious manuscript. But Rick says he feels this new promise is just another stalling tactic.
We have a situation where it's now, do we go see if he's going to bat 0 for 4, or do we trust it one more time? It's kind of like the Peanuts cartoon. Is Lucy going to pull that football out one more time? And you get the impression that's probably what is going to happen.
The FBI says Koresh is concerned that media interest in him is waning and that he's being made a spectacle and that Americans view his followers as oddballs.
Police have indicted a man who allegedly bound and gagged and then strangled a nun last month in Baltimore. 34-year-old Melvin Jones was arrested just days after the police found the body of Sister Marianne Glinka. Police think Glinka may have surprised the killer, who likely was trying to rob the convent. Jones worked at the convent in the late 80s. And an Anne Arundel County high school teacher facing criminal charges for having sex with a 14-year-old student says he's sorry, but he couldn't stop himself. And tonight, for the first time, teacher Ron Price confesses to Channel 5's Mike Ritz that he's been seducing female high school students for 2 decades.